Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Gene. You guys are watching Lubed for February the 27th, 2024, Season 3, Episode 45. And I beg to ask you guys the question that you saw on my thumbnail. Is this team playoff ready? After what we witnessed last night against LA, I was quite impressed. But the 3 games leading up to that, not so impressed. So what's your take? Is this team ready to make a Stanley Cup run? Not just be playoff ready, but a Stanley Cup run. If you ask me during that 16-game winning streak, I would say hell yeah. But since the Vegas game and the fact that, okay, the streak is over, they're kind of not really playing for anything. Well, they are. They're still playing for playoff positioning, but it's kind of like, it just seems like that streak was very much something that had all the players engaged, had Stuart Skinner engaged, had all the players playing the right way, and then as soon as they lost, they kind of just went back into their old ways a little bit. So, are they ready? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about that. Let me know where you guys stand. I don't even know where this team is anymore. I sometimes wonder, like, sometimes they play amazing and then sometimes they play absolute crap, right? So yeah, that's the big question I give to you guys. We're going to talk about the Kings game, a great game, very good game. I was very impressed with the way they played. I'm also going to dive into a little bit about my channel here and just the look and the evolution of the channel. As you notice, I changed the thumbnails. I'm in the process of changing the thumbnails. That is kind of a temp one. I think after this episode, I'm going to work a little bit more on the thumbnail. I did. Actually, I'll give a shout out to Anders, first of all. He was the one that kind of suggested it, as he has a bit of multimedia experience and had a lot of knowledge in this field and areas where I could work on. And I thought I'd give him a shot, and he suggested to have my big fat face up on a thumbnail, which I was not too impressed about, but I thought, you know what, let's give it a shot. Subscriber counts are kind of like stagnant right now. I'm not really getting much for build-up, so I'm going to try something different. But as far as the actual look of the channel goes, I'm just doing little tweaks. I'm actually quite happy with where it's at, but we're going to get into that when we get into that. All in Skins wins. Yes, when you have Stuart Skinner playing all in, and he was, like last night, I was very impressed with his play. He was very aggressive on pucks, he had almost an attack mentality. So we're going to discuss that, and we're going to kind of give you some numbers that fall from last year to the present, and just certain little stretches of where he was at during the streak, where he was at last year, everything. We're going to go through that. And we're also going to talk about an early game tomorrow in Edmonton, which actually kind of surprised me, because when I looked at the time, I'm like, oh, they got to be playing in St. Louis. But it turns out, no, it's in Edmonton. It's a 6:30 Mountain start in Edmonton, which is kind of a bizarre start time. And we're going to give you that talk. Hopefully you guys join in for some conversation. If not, I'll give you my final little bit. And there has been some movement on the playoff matchups. So we'll get into that pretty quick here. Let's get into the Oil and Kings game that happened last night. Very good game. Very good game, considering that these teams right now are neck and neck for second and third. They're trying to position themselves in a good spot to go into this year's playoffs with home ice advantage, essentially, because right now it looks like it could very well be the Oilers and the Kings playing in the playoffs. It's tough to say. A few weeks ago, I thought for sure it was going to be a Vegas-Edmonton kind of series, but yeah, right now, or actually, no, it would be Vegas-Edmonton right now, but Los Angeles is still in the mix, and they're creeping back into the fold. Okay, let's get into that one. So As far as the scoring summary goes on this one, it was a 4-2 win for the Oilers. Yay. But it started off a little concerning as Trevor Moore would get the first goal. His 22nd from Quinton Byfield and Andreas England at 6:45 of the first period. But at the end of the period, Zach Hyman would get his 38th. Man, Zach Hyman is having a hell of a year. His 38th. He's going to hit 50 for sure for the first time in his career. And that was assisted by Connor McDavid getting number 69 assist. 1-1 after the first period. We go to the second period. Alex Lafreniere would get his 8th from Andrei Kopitar, regaining the LA lead at 7:34, but Leon Draisaitl would quickly abolish that about 8 minutes later on the power play. His 29th from Bouchard and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. And then in the third period, Evan Bouchard would take the first Oiler lead, his 15th of the year from Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, making it 3-2. And then it would be Ryan Nugent-Hopkins getting his 16th of the year from Connor Brown and Matthias Janmark. Just a really good game, a real solid game by the Oilers. And I'm going to give a shout out to Stuart Skinner in this game. He looked good. Because I had to kind of come down on him in the last couple games. But today or yesterday, he looked really good. I'm hoping he can pick up his mojo again and that confidence. But yeah, he was very aggressive, I found he was moving a lot. So a big shout out to him. Okay, let's break down the stats here. As shots on goal, it was 40-31 for the Kings. When it came down to hits on opponents, 39-34, LA Kings. So LA Kings, this is one of those games, if you remember a couple episodes, I forgot which game it was, but I thought the Oilers should have won that one. This is now the vice versa. This is the game that maybe the Oilers should have maybe lost because a lot of the stats favored the LA Kings in this one. When it came to the face-off win percentage, the Oilers actually edged out the Kings 51.7%. So they were a little bit better on the dot. When it came to the power play, the Oilers were 1 for 3 for 33%. And the penalty kill, they were 2 for 2, shutting out their penalty kill 100%. Let's go into the blocked shots. 15-10 for the Kings. Now, this is a stat, since I've started doing this on this channel, this is a stat I would like to see the Oilers improve on. It seems like we're always being edged out in block shots. And getting a guy like Tanev might be a huge addition to helping change that stat. Okay, takeaways. 10-8 for the Oilers. When it came to giveaways, the Oilers again still giving away the puck a little too often. Doubled the LA Kings 14-7. And my 3 stars, I'm going to give the 3rd star to Leon Draisaitl. 1 goal, 1 assist. Now, ESPN had him, I think, as the 2nd star. But I chose to knock him down to the 3rd star just because, yeah, he had a few shots on goal, but he wasn't really, he had a couple hits. But, the reason why I really wanted him to be the 3rd star is I wanted this to be the 2nd star, 100%, because I thought he looked really good. Stuart Skinner, a .950 save percentage, making 38 saves, letting into... I've been beating him up lately because he has not been very good, but last night he was excellent, and I'm going to give him the 2nd star, and it's nice to see him back in my stars category. If you remember during the streak, he pretty much owned the stars category. I thought every night he was phenomenal, and then he started kind of slipping a little bit. And my 1st star of this game is Evan Bouchard, who had 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 block shots, 2 hits. He was definitely a huge factor. So it's nice to see Evan Bouchard really doing very well on that one. Next up is the St. Louis Blues, and again, a 6:30 Mountain Standard Time from Rogers Place. I was kind of surprised about that time, but yeah, there you go. That's the time for it. Excuse me. Okay, guys. So those of you who have followed me when I first started this channel obviously saw many different looks that I have had. What I am trying to do is just make it as appealing to what I would want to see. And I'm getting there. I am getting there. I know early on in this year, I had too much going on with the equipment that I use, too many titles, too many this, and I'd be missing that title, missing that title. I'm starting to get into a comfortable place as far as this goes. I'm doing little tweaks. You'll notice them from time to time. I'm adding little subtle adjustments, but pretty much going forward, this is how it's going to be. You may have noticed on the thumbnail on this one, massive difference. As I mentioned in the beginning there, I talked to one of my coworkers, Anders, again, shout out. He is a bit of a media specialist, and I believe he went to school actually for some of it, or read up on it. I don't know exactly what his history is, but he's been giving me some good insight on what I should do for thumbnails and try to make them more simple and all that. So I'm going to try his way for a bit and see if it can help me grow some subscribers, because I do know my thumbnails tend to look a little too busy and too cluttered. But that being said, I think I have homed in on the way I want this channel to look. Going forward, I'll make little tweaks here and there and try to mitigate less mistakes, because there was a lot of mistakes at the beginning part of the season. Luckily, the Oilers were crap, so it kind of coincided to each other. My show was crap and the Oilers were crap, so I probably wasn't getting many viewers watching it back then anyway. But still, I am trying to refine this to make it very eye-pleasing. I'll take suggestions from you guys out there. If there's anything that you would like me to add for content, I will do it. As you know, I've added Armchair Quarterback, the Rig Report, which I'm going to be doing on Sunday, troubleshooting, and the numbers. So just adding different elements and trying to make the program that much better. All right, enough of that. Let's talk about all-in skins equals wins. I kind of thought that up just this afternoon when I was putting it together. I was like, what am I going to put for content? Because there hasn't been any trades, hasn't been really much. There was a great game with LA, but hasn't been too much. So I thought this would be a good time to do the new look for the channel. And then let's talk about Stuart Skinner and what he has done as of late. So when we look at the body of work of Stuart Skinner going back to last year, we'll give you some of his numbers. Last year, he had a 273 goals against average and a 914 save percentage. Pretty respectable numbers. I can't complain. Going into this year, now this is from the beginning when Woody, basically the beginning of the year to the point of Woody getting fired, his numbers were very bad. October 10th to November 12th, 353 goals against average, and a 861 save percentage. So not very good numbers. Then they went into the winning streak. In the winning streak, from December 19th to February 7th, 157 goals against average and a .943 save percentage. All-star-like numbers. Like, you can't complain about those numbers. And you also can't expect those numbers to be a constant. Even the best goalies don't end the season with a .943. I think I was looking at Fleury's Stanley Cup numbers, and he was like a .921 year. I had it written down here somewhere, but regardless, those are unsustainable numbers. But that streak was awesome, and he was motivated, and he was playing very well. Then he hits the bit of the lull after Vegas beat us, and the team basically hit a lull. Like, I don't want to all put this all on Stuart Skinner, but the team hit a lull February 7th to the present. 302 goals against average and an 877. That being said, last night he played remarkable, and we're going to get into his numbers when I talk about the. Well, I already did. I already told you his numbers when I was mentioning the Stars. So you can just see there that Stuart Skinner is actually an incredible goalie. I would just like to see a little bit more depth in that position. That's why I was gung-ho on Marc-Andre Fleury coming here, and I still am. I'm not going to back off of that. But it's not to replace Skinner. Marc-Andre Fleury's role would be the backup role, 100%, and ready to take over if Skin starts dropping the ball in the playoffs. But again, dropping the ball means the team is also dropping the ball. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys, up next, the St. Louis Blues. Again, guys, I'm going to remind you, it's a 6:30 Mountain Time in Edmonton. It is at the Rogers Place, but it's a weird time for tomorrow's game. So just be aware of that. I was like I said, I was surprised about it. I had to check the calendar to see if they were actually on the road for this game, but no, it's at the Rogers Place in Edmonton. It's a 6:30 start, which is kind of a very odd time for them to do that. Where they will take on the St. Louis Blues. And it should be a good one. Let's go through some of the numbers that they have here. As I'll pull that up. Okay, so going into this game, the Edmonton Oilers are 5th in goals. The Blues are 25th. I'm going to just highlight some of their key stats. Is their penalty minutes. They're actually pretty good at staying out of the box. They're 3rd in the league, averaging only 7.4 minutes per game, which is a pretty decent stat, I would say. It looks like Jordan Binnington is going to get the start now. You might see that the shutouts is cut out there. I'll actually mention that in a second, what both teams or both goalies shutouts. So expected is Jordan Binnington, 20-16-2, a 293 goals against average and a 909 save percentage. 3 shutouts. He does have 3 shutouts. Skinner, 26-13-2, 2.70 goals against average and a 903 save percentage with 2 shutouts. Going into this game, St. Louis has a record of 30-25-2. The Oilers 34-20-2. The away record for the Blues is 13-14-1. Meanwhile, the Oilers are 18-8-2. The last 10, St. Louis is 5-5. The Oilers are 5-4-1. So very similar records. The Blues lost the last game. The Oilers won the last game. Money Puck, as I mentioned in the little ticker at the beginning, has the Oilers a favorite of 71.1% favorite to win this game. So whatever stock you want to take into that, you can take into it. It's a huge game for St. Louis, as they were just recently bumped out of the playoff positioning. As we get into that, and I'll explain that right away. But yeah, it should be a good game. Hopefully the Oilers will get some vengeance from their 6-3 loss on February 15th and save a little bit of face from that. And I think they will, because I do like what the Oilers did last game against the Kings. That was a pretty impressive game. Like, it was the Kings, and it was a team that they're fighting with, and they I think really took it to them. All right, guys, let's get into final thoughts. If you have any questions or comments, now's the best time to bring it up. Wrong graphic. There we go. Get this graphic going. If you notice in the corner there, from the last time, the new updated standings, St. Louis has been bumped out. So if the playoffs were to start today, it would be Nashville versus the Canucks. That's the only change that has happened since the last episode. St. Louis is now on the outside looking in, and that's why they may be fighting the Oilers very, very hard tomorrow. and we'll see what happens. But that's the only thing I can honestly say is the only change. Everything else is still the same. So it would be Nashville at Vancouver, LA at Dallas. It would be Colorado at Winnipeg, and it would be the Oilers versus the Golden Knights in Las Vegas. So that's the only change. I'm going to see if there's any comments here. If not, I'm going to wrap this up. And, oh, there is some comments. James Smith, okay. Yeah, another streak. Let's go Oilers. You betcha, James, man. You betcha. You know what? I realize now these comment things, I have to actually click on this one thing here. It's not showing up that the comments were here, but now I realize that you did make comments, which is awesome. And you made a follow-up comment, James. And what's MCD not shooting? He's just playing a different role of his game. He's playing the playmaker role. Leon Draisaitl was actually asked this, James, and basically he said, like, yeah, he's doing he's playing a bit of a different role. At the end of the day, Leon Draisaitl said sometimes you just need the guy to play, make the plays, and he is more of a playmaker than a goal scorer. As much as talent as he has, he is actually a playmaker. So I'm not going to complain about McDavid. I rarely complain about McDavid, but I did complain the last couple times. And even one of my buddies in Edmonton was saying that they should bench him. And I was like, that's a bit of a stretch. But obviously frustration was getting to him a little bit bad in some of those games. But let's be honest, the Oilers didn't look that good. All right, guys, I am going to wrap this up here. For tonight, those of you who are joining me for the first time, I hope you enjoy the content I bring. Feel free to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Those of you who have joined me through thick and thin and have witnessed the evolution of this channel from 3 years ago to where it is now, I am happy you're still aboard, and I hope you are still enjoying my content. But for now, I think it's going to be a wrap for me. Enjoy the St. Louis Blues game. Remember, once again, it is a 6:30 Mountain Time in Edmonton tomorrow. And hopefully you guys don't get a bunch of snow. I'm a little bit worried about how much snow we're going to get in the Okanagan here, but we'll see what happens. You guys take care. Have a good night. Stay safe.